quarterback again. He steps up. He's hit. He stumbles. He is throwing it deep for the end zone, and it is batted around and incomplete. And the game is over. The game is over. The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
There's going to be a parade on Broad Street. Hey, man, if this is a dream, don't wake me up. We're going to have a parade on Broad Street. Hey, grease up the poles. We're going to have a parade.
The Eagles have won the Super Bowl.
Oh boy, it's game night. The official start to the season, 2018-19 NFL season is here. The Philadelphia Eagles, of course, have the honor of being the host team to start off the season. It's banner night. Get to see their Super Bowl banner tonight. The first one in franchise history, so looking forward to that. Been a lot of firsts, when you win your first Super Bowl championship. It's exciting. Obviously, this game, the emotions might not be quite there as it was the last game I watched that meant something. Obviously, the preseason games in between, but Super Bowl 52. But I'm excited. I really am to have football back. And obviously, the Eagles being the defending champions certainly add to that. But you know what? All those other years when they weren't, I was excited. To have another season and to watch the Eagles. And being a fan, as we know, it's filled with ups and downs. It's a roller coaster ride. It's a labor of love. You have to put up with a lot, but you know what? You get something like we had last season. I mean, it makes everything worth it. All those ups and downs that led to it for all those seasons. Now tonight they play the Falcons, a rematch of the divisional round last season. Matt Ryan, local product. Has only won once in his career in Philly, including 0 for 1 in the playoffs last season. But he's a great quarterback. And let's not forget the Falcons were just in the Super Bowl a few years ago in Super Bowl 51. And they are also the host team of Super Bowl 53 because Super Bowl 53 this next February will be in Atlanta. So certainly the Falcons come into this season with a lot of high hopes. This is a very good team. They are a very good team. They're going to be one of the contenders in the NFC and in football this season. They have a lot of weapons on offense. They have a pretty good defense. So it's definitely a challenge right off the bat in week one, and you wouldn't want it any other way. You're a defending champion. You're going to get everyone's A game, like I said before, and it's up to this team to prove it. To prove that last season, wasn't just one of those fluky years. I don't believe it was, because like I said before, this team has a lot of talent in all the areas that you have to have talent in. And I know they come into this week, as they did in the Super Bowl last season and in the playoffs last season, with a lot of key injuries. Carson Wentz obviously still won't be starting. Timmy Jernigan is out. Nigel Bradham is out. Alshon Jeffrey is out. There's a lot of guys, key players on this team who will not be playing tonight. So it's a challenge, but I think this team proved last season that they're up for that type of challenge. It's going to be a good game, I think, tonight. I got to go with my heart here, but obviously I also believe it's because the Eagles are a very good team. I think the Eagles win a close one tonight to start out the season. Look, this team played exceptionally well last season at home. It was one of their calling cards. They were a very good home team last season. They lost one game all year, and that was that last game of the season that didn't mean anything when most of the backups were in there against Dallas. They were, of course, 2-0 in the playoffs last season at home. The defense was dominant all season at home. They played really well. Obviously, in the playoffs, they gave up, a combined 17 points, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, they were really good. And, of course, they were rolling at that time. And, starting a season, sometimes you're going to have some sloppy games. You see it all every year just because teams aren't really, used to the grind at that point. they haven't gotten into the flow, I should say, of the season. So you're going to have some moments of mistakes. Obviously, there's probably going to be penalties, and there's going to be some sloppy play on both sides for both teams. But in the end, I think because it's home, because this team proved what they were a season ago with their home record, having one of the most dominant, home field advantages in the league, if not the most dominant home field advantage in the league. I think they get a W. And I think, like I said, I think it's a close game. I think, right like it was last season in the playoffs, there's a lot of doubters out there. Even Vegas made it a pick'em game. And that's just how we like it. We wouldn't want it any other way. So, they come right out the bat like an underdog. And we saw how that kind of carried them, through their Super Bowl championship last season. Ooh, it's a hot day today. So, so I look forward to this game. I really do. I'm glad to have football back. I'm glad to have the Eagles, back for real, because the preseason is over now. Now it's the regular season. Now the games matter. Now it counts in the standings. And like I said, look, the Falcons are going to be one of those teams in the league this year that's going to have, be one of those contenders in the NFC. This is a type of team that the Eagles might just play them again in the playoffs this year. And as it was last season, we want to play them here. Don't want to play them in Atlanta. So this game could certainly have some playoff ramifications towards the end. I mean, it's hard to even say playoff ramifications in week one, right? But it is. It's a heavyweight showdown between two good teams. Two teams that certainly could represent things in the NFC, be two of the powers in the NFC this season. So it's a great match in week one, and it's going to be tough. But in the end, like I said, I think the Eagles get the win because they're home on banner night. And, as always, let's go Birds. I'll be back. You'll see me with the magic of editing a little later with some, post-game reaction. And, the season is just over an hour away right now to kick off in week one of the NFL. The Eagles hosting the Atlanta Falcons on banner night. Eagles Super Bowl 52 banner will be unveiled in front of all the fans there at Lincoln Financial Field. And, I look forward to seeing that, and I look forward to seeing the game. And, so let's go Birds. Our Birds. Have to be careful sometimes saying that, if they're playing another team with a bird name. All right. All right, let's go Eagles.
They did, in fact, sing it loud and very proud. Now, Michael Swiss Collins, right? Michelle Tafoya. A game is about to break out.
Well, who would have thought it would have been that score, huh? To start a season. 18-12 is the final. The Eagles defeat the Atlanta Falcons, of course, as we know by now, last night. Late night game got off to a bit of a late start because it was delayed a bit because of weather. But they did get the game underway about an hour later. Yeah, I mean, look, I did mention this when I did my pre vid before the game, of course. And I said I expect a close game, probably be a sloppy game, because it's the first game of the season. Sometimes teams come right out of the chute. We've seen the Eagles teams do it in the past, and they're on point, and the plays are there to be made. They're making them, and then we've also seen times where they're not quite up to par. The good thing, though, and this is the mark of a champion, is that you overcome mistakes and sloppy play, and you're still able to get a win against a good team at home, and continue to show why Lincoln Financial Field is the best home field advantage in the league going right now. They lost one game at home last season, as we all remember. It was a meaningless game at the end of the year against Dallas when it was the backups in there. And it's not even like Dallas' starters did that great in that game. And then Dallas fans are all, pumping their chests because they beat Nate Sudfeld and the Eagles that day. And, for some reason that was, that meant a lot to them. But then, the Eagles went on to beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and the Dallas fans were, they didn't have much to say, did they? They were... They were pretty quiet after that one. But no, listen, it was a sloppy game. There were mistakes made, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. The defense balled. And I will continue to say this. This is the best defensive line in the game. It just is. They can dominate an opponent. They can dominate a game the way they did. And the Falcons, look, I mean, the mark of a great defense is the bend but don't break mentality, right? You're between the 20s. Your opponent will get yards, will have plays. Once they get into that red zone, right, you limit the damage. And this team has done that. Now, obviously, the Super Bowl last season, that was more of like a Madden game, okay? But that game withstanding, all year last year, one of the calling cards of this team was that defense and the ferocity of this defense. The ability to get turnovers at big times, including in the Super Bowl. The one turnover they got came at a pretty crucial moment. You saw it again last night. The Falcons were able to move the ball between the 20s pretty good, pretty much at will. Julio Jones balled. I mean, he's a beast. Okay, he's a top 2 receiver in the league. A great weapon. He's going to make plays. He's going to get his catches. He's going to get his yards. But what didn't Julio Jones do last night? Score a touchdown. When the ball got to the red zone, the Eagles defense clamped down. Now, Falcons fans and some other fans might be saying, well, it was the play calling. Well, you know what? The defense still has to make plays. You still got a great weapon in Julio Jones, and they shut him down when they got in the red zone. Okay? This defense was able to do what they've done for the most part last season, take away the run. The Falcons were very one-dimensional. The Eagles shut down the run game. And they were able to get some crucial turnovers. And a great job with that, because including the first drive of the game, right? The Falcons are marching down the field. They get to the goal line. They go for it on 4th down. It gets shut down. It gets shut down. Rasul Douglas late in the game. Falcons again driving. Here comes the pick. He comes in the game because Ronald Darby goes out for a play or two. He comes in the game. He gets the interception, covering Julio Jones. Okay. Again, it's that next man up mentality. The Eagles had, like they had going into the playoffs last year, some key players out of the game. We talk about Carson Wentz. We talk about Nigel Bradham. You talk about Timmy Jernigan. You know, of course, Alshon Jeffrey. Key players not playing, but this team is just unfazed by it because of what happened last season. They were able to overcome it. They were able to win a championship. And when you can do that, nothing phases you. You know, you go into the next season, there might be obstacles, and every season presents new obstacles. Okay? There's always going to be something. You know, you're never going to have a perfect year unless you're the 72 Dolphins, okay? You're not, and even then, they had to overcome some injuries and some different, you know, situations to remain undefeated. You have to overcome adversity. And the teams that are able to do that go on to have the highest success. And you know, I'm preaching to the choir. It's nothing I'm saying here that people don't already know. We saw it last season. But going into this season, look, when you can go toe-to-toe with Brady and Belichick and win, there's nothing that's going to faze you. Okay? No challenge that any other team is going to try to bring you, it's not going to faze you. And I said before in my season opening video that this team has staying power. This team has a legitimate chance. And look, you still have to do it, but this team has a legitimate chance to be a dynasty. And I say that because at the top of the top of the heap there, they got the ownership, they got the front office that's going to keep, you know, getting the players, keeping the players into the fold that have to be kept. And there will be some tough decisions made, obviously. But for the most part, I trust in them to make the right decisions. You have the coach and the coaching staff in place. Now, you might lose some coordinators here and there, but we are so lucky to have Doug Peterson as a head coach. And you saw what he was able to do in a short 2 years, win a Super Bowl, mold a team into a team that's going to compete for championships, multiple, plural. The play calling, the aggressiveness. Again, last night we saw this at a crucial part of the game, and the offense is stagnant. You know, there's not a lot of juice in the stadium. The crowd, which was great again last night, by the way. Shout out to all the Eagles Nation that was at the game last night, making noise, including fellow Eagle vloggers. But yeah, there was a point in that game where there was just no energy in the stadium. The offense was just in a lull, you know, and here they go with the trick play. Now some people said it was the Philly special. It wasn't the Philly special. It was the same play that the Patriots tried to run on the Eagles last season in the Super Bowl, where Tom Brady heard Malcolm Jenkins' footsteps and said, you know what, I remember what happened to Brandon Cooks. I don't want that. I don't want any of this ball. Come on, Tom. It was the same play, and the Eagles worked it to perfection. And Nick Foles, yet again, the receiver that he is, made the play, and that got the team going. That got the crowd going. That's exactly what needed to be done at the right time. Again, that's Doug Peterson that's thinking. You know, I'm so glad he's the head coach of this team because he's a great play caller, and he has a great feel for the game. The moments that you have to step up and make those play calls, that's what he's willing to do. And he's willing to listen to players when they suggest a play call, like the Philly special in the Super Bowl. It takes guts to do it. Okay? Not every coach does this. Not every coach believes in his team enough and himself enough to allow himself to do these type of things. But Doug Peterson does. And the result of that, as we saw last night, when they had to get something going, they got it going with that play call. And that energized everything. It was like the light switch went on after that, you know. And listen, it wasn't a clean game. There were mistakes made on both sides of the ball. I mean, you know, Rodney McLeod, when you have a chance to intercept the ball, you better damn well intercept it when the ball's right there to be had, okay? Dallas Goedert, I know he's a rookie. And look, when you have rookies on a team and young players, they're going to make mistakes. But you have to understand the big situation there to make a catch. You have to feel those defenders. The defender's right there, makes the catch. It was a tough play. It was a catch and a turn. As soon as he turned, the defender's right there. but you have to be able to feel that defender. You have to know where those defenders are so that you're not, I don't want to say spooked at that moment, but, kind of surprised, and the ball, goes up in the air, and of course we know Jones intercepted it and, made a big play for the Falcons. And to his credit, he made that play. But again, Dallas, as a young player, you're going to learn in this league. It's different than in college, and you have to be able to feel those defenders. Look, this team overcame a lot last night offensively. Zach Ertz had one of his worst games as a pro last night. Lots of drops for a guy who they, of course, 100, passes without a drop before he had a couple drops last night. Yeah, it was not a very good game, and it wasn't a clean game for Zach Ertz. It wasn't a clean game for this offense, and the shame of that is they didn't have Alshon Jeffrey. So that means your other top receiving threat in Zach Ertz has to step up, and he had some big drops, in third down situations. And we're not used to seeing that out of Zach. So, look, he got that game out of his system. Be better against Tampa. I mean, they need him because they're not going to have Alshon Jeffrey going into that Tampa game, and they might not have him, who knows, maybe not even for the full month of September. So other guys got to step up. And Zach Ertz is one of those guys. He's one of the leaders. He's got to step up, and he knows that. Nick Foles, listen, there were times of struggle. I think at times he held on the ball a little too long. He took some unneeded sacks at times. He's got to do better. Offensive line, there were some penalties there. But I think overall they played pretty good. I think there were times where Nick just held onto the ball a little too long. And he knows that. He's been in the league a number of years. He was a Super Bowl MVP. You got to get rid of that ball. The receiving core, the thing that kind of worries me, and look, I know it's the next man up mentality. The thing that kind of worries me about the receiving core, there's a lot of young receivers, and they just don't have that depth. Now, they're not going to have Alshon Jeffrey or Hollins for quite a while. At least Hollins for a couple months. And Alshon, who knows? It's still a question mark when he's going to be on the field. I believe in Howie Roseman. I believe that he's a guy that sees this type of thing, and if there's something that's needed, like we saw last season with the Jay Ajayi trade, he's going to go ahead and make it happen. Now, I know as Eagle fans, seeing a former Cowboy on the team is not something that we're always the most eager to see, but Dez Bryant's out there. And I will say this, Dez Bryant, as much of a headache as he could be, if he comes to a team with a leadership in place that this team has, I don't think he's going to be a problem. I don't. I think he would also see it as an opportunity to come to a team that has already won some hardware. He's never won a ring. He's never won a Super Bowl. He's never been in a Super Bowl. He has an opportunity, if Howie Roseman, if they make this move, which it's just speculation at this point. This is just me thinking aloud. If they make this move and he comes into the Eagles, he comes to a great opportunity to win a championship. And the fact that there is a lot of leaders on this team, I don't think he's going to be a hindrance. I really don't. I think he's a weapon. I think he's the type of player at the wide receiver. He's not the player he used to be, but he would be an upgrade over some of the other receivers, including Mike Wallace. Okay? And I would welcome the opportunity to bring Dez to the team because I know that production-wise, you're not going to get the Dez that he was 5 years ago, but you're going to get an upgrade at a position that they need to get an upgrade at. Now, they will get Alshon Jeffrey back, hopefully in a few weeks. We'll see. I just think if they add Dez Bryant to this team, that adds another weapon. And let's not forget, we get Carson back in a few weeks, hopefully. Well, we'll see. The timetable still is up in the air. But you get Carson back, you get Alshon Jeffrey back, and I would feel better, to be honest. And I know he's not a burner like a Mike Wallace, but I would feel better if we had Dez on the other side. You know, you got Alshon on one side, Dez on the other, you got Nelson in the middle, and Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. That's a pretty, compared to what we saw last night, that's a pretty lethal combination. And when you have Carson Wentz coming back, and maybe you put Mike Wallace in situations, maybe a third down receiver, maybe first down or whatever, go down the field. You know, he's one of those stretch the defense type receivers. Maybe you put him in certain situations. I mean, I just think adding a Dez Bryant would add a weapon to this team. And you can never have enough weapons. And let's not forget, again, we get Carson back. You'll have Alshon Jeffrey back. And this offense that last night looked pretty bad, receiving-wise, for most of the night, I think that's an upgrade. And I think when you have an organization that showed last season that they're not afraid to keep adding in-season weapons to a team, there's an opportunity there. But again, you have to see what type of shape Dez is in. It seems like he's still in good shape. You know, the type of rapport that he's going to have with Nick Foles and with Carson Wentz going forward. Listen, nothing against Nick Foles. All due respect to him, Carson Wentz is a generational quarterback. He makes anyone good. Okay? So the troubles that Dez may have had, I think you would see you would see a pretty productive Dez on this team with Carson throwing him the ball. He's a better passer than Dak. Sorry, Dallas fans, but Dak was looking at film at Carson throwing. You know, that's been, you know, talked about in the past. We heard about that. He's a better quarterback. He's a better passing quarterback. And when we get him back, and if they bring Dez to the fold, I just think that that's another weapon that they could really use. I just do. And I wouldn't be opposed to it if they do bring him in for a look this week. And I say this week because we still don't know when Alshon Jeffrey's coming back. But we know how Hollins is going to be out for a few weeks. You have some other young receivers. Mike Wallace, I just don't think Mike Wallace is an every down receiver. I think he's almost like a specialist at this point. He's a burner. I think he's like a specialist. I would much rather have more of a reliable source on the other side, you know, for the quarterback to throw the ball to. And again, the running game is there. You know, you have depth there. You have Jay Ajayi, of course, had a nice game last night, 2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion. You have, you know, Clement, of course, Sproles. How about Sproles? You know, again, I can't emphasize this enough. The players that this team lost last season, and now you see them back, and now you see what, you see guys like Darren Sproles. I mean, that third down run where he just basically runs through Beasley. And, you know, that's the type of, you know, again, these are the type of players this team has. And this is why this team has that staying power. And this is why this team is going to compete again this season and for the foreseeable future. Great play. I mean, a leader, another leader making a play. You saw Peters, how dominant he is. I mean, the guy's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, you know. And we didn't have him last season going into the playoffs. You know, we had Big V over there. Again, you just marvel at what they were able to do last season. But you see how dominant that guy is. I mean, you know, Nick didn't have any pressure on that side all night with Peters just, you know, and it's like whoever was on the other side there going up against Peters didn't want any of it, you know. it was, I think it was Beasley one play where Peters kind of shoved him just a bit and Beasley's like, okay. Again, I know I rambled on here, but it was a sloppy game at times offensively. But when they had to make plays, they made plays. That end of the game, I guess there's just something about when the Eagles and Falcons play. I guess that's just the heart and the throat. It's just going to have games like that. You know, the old ticker there was thumping pretty good there at the end. But again, the defense, when you had to make plays, they made plays. And maybe you can talk about play calling all you want. I believe, what was it? I think it was a second down play where Ryan was going back and the rush got to him and he threw kind of a flubber. I mean, that wasn't a play call. That was the defense getting to him. And by the way, the additions, Jenkins and Nada, nice games. Haloti Nada. I remember Haloti Nada when he was one of the most dominant defensive tackles in the league in Baltimore, you know, and helping them win a Super Bowl. I mean, the guy was just a road grader in the middle. You could not move him. Offensive linemen could not move him. And when you tried to run in his direction, the running back got engulfed. And you saw that last night. My goodness. The guy is a veteran. He still has a little tread left on those tires. And, boy, he balled out last night. Nice debut for him as an Eagle. Nice debut for I say Jenkins before. I don't know where Jenkins came from. Michael Bennett, of course. Sometimes the names just get jumbled in there. I don't know. I pull out a name from the past somewhere. I don't know. Michael Bennett, of course. Nice game. Look, he's part of the rotation. I mean, this defensive line is still. They still have that depth. They're a little older now. When you look at Bennett, you look at Haloti, certainly than what they were. They lost Bo Allen. They lost Vinnie Curry. Both to Tampa. We'll be seeing them. We'll be seeing our old buddies there in a week from Sunday. But nice game. Dominant Fletcher Cox doing what he does every week. Brandon Graham, again, making plays. Chris Long, I mean, again, this defensive line has so many weapons, so many ways to beat you. They take away the running game, and they make you one-dimensional. I know it's a passing league anymore. You don't have a lot of, big-time running offenses, but the fact remains that this defense takes away the run. They take a weapon away from you. They make you one-dimensional. And what does that do? We live in a world right now where it's all about analytics. As much as a Phillies fan, I'm watching this team, and it drives me nuts. But that's the world we live in. Analytically, when you make a team one-dimensional, what does that do? That leads to more chances of having turnovers. That leads to chances of having more interceptions. In the secondary, Darby balled. And I said, I believe I said this in that first video for this season. I believe he really could have a really a great ability, an opportunity, I should say, to have a great season. Because this is his first full season with the team. He was hurt, of course, after week 1 last season. Didn't get a whole lot of play. Was still learning the defense. But you saw last night. I mean, he's running, stride for stride with Julio. He gave up some plays. I mean, look, Julio, he's one, I mean, what can you do? The guy's going to make catches. Okay? That's what he does. Okay? But still, great coverage by Darby on Julio. Blanketing him a lot of the game. Yeah, Julio made some catches, made some yards, kept him out of the end zone, and when the money was on the table, that last throw by Ryan, out of bounds. Darby was covering Julio on that play. Darby made sure he was out of bounds on that play. And Falcon fans, there you go. Julio caught the ball this time. It still didn't matter, but he caught the ball. So all of you said, well, he caught it this time, and it still didn't matter. And by the way, again, if you look at the tape from last season, even if he caught it last season, that would have been a tough play to keep both feet in bounds when he came down. And I know he's very acrobatic, and who knows, maybe he could have, but it would have been very difficult for him to keep both feet in bounds, even if he caught the ball last season. Listen, again, a lot of sloppiness in this game. It was, and you're going to have that early in the season. You're going to have that. But let's not forget, the Eagles played deep into last season. But the fact is, teams that know how to win those games. It's an ugly win, but it's a win. And at the end of the day, at the end of the season, look, this team won 13 games last season, and what did that do? That helped them get home field advantage throughout the playoffs. What did that do? Helped them go to the Super Bowl. So if you have, 13, 14 wins on your resume at the end of the season, there's a good chance that you're going to have home field advantage again. And this stadium, Lincoln Financial Field, as the Falcons and the Vikings found out last season, is very tough to win in the playoffs here. This has become one of the best, if not the best, home field advantages in all the NFL. And these fans, these crazed Eagle fans, like myself, make the noise, and they make it what it is. And this team, of course, makes it what it is. And they have those fans behind them, Very difficult place to win. The Falcons certainly know that. Matt Ryan certainly knows that. Julio Jones certainly knows that. It's become a very difficult place to win, and we're very proud of that. We love our birds, and these fans make it what it is, and that team makes it what it is. Okay? So a great win last night. Hey, I don't care if they win a game 3-0, 6-3. As long as you win. Like I said, at the end of the season, when you count up the wins, you don't say how you got them. Sometimes you remember some of those games, at memorable moments, a 61-yard field goal wins a game. But it's a win. It's a W. And at the end of the day, at the end of the season, that's all that matters. You get those wins. You pile them up. Nothing's given in this league. It's all earned. And when you pile up those wins, if you win a game 38-7, awesome. If you win a game 18-12, okay, but it's still a win. Let's not forget last season, the Patriots lost their first game of the season as defending champions on Banner Night. And they were used to Banner Nights at that point, and they still got drubbed by the Chiefs at home. So it's not always a given. And this team had all the excuses in the world not to win that game. All the distractions, everything with Banner Night, the weather, delaying the game. You got a good team, a team with revenge on their mind from last season, all this time to prepare for the Eagles. And what happened? Deja vu all over again. The Eagles get the win at the end. Falcons not able to make a play at the end. Eagles get the victory. It was good to see those Eagles back. Jordan Hicks, Darren Sproles, Jason Peters. Great to have them back. It will be great to welcome back other guys. Nigel Bradham returns after the one-game suspension in the game against Tampa. Hopefully we get Carson Wentz and Alshon Jeffrey and Timmy Jernigan back at some point before too long, going on into the season. But again, this team is used to it. This team has overcome so much, and they will continue to overcome so much. And when you're a champion, that's how you play. You play like a champion, and you win games like last night. You find a way. The greats always find a way. They find a way to get those wins no matter what. And that's what this team did last night. It was great to see. We had a lot of fun. Watching that banner be unfurled before this, it took a little while. It's Philly, things never go very simple. There's always something. So of course, banner night would be pushed back an hour because of weather. That's just how it's going to be. But it gave the fans a little extra time to celebrate. So at the end of the day, it was a late night last night, but it was a victory. Eagles win 18-12. Right. 18-12. I keep forgetting the score. But yeah, it's a weird score. Isn't it 18-12? 18-12. Ooh. Sloppy game. There are things that they need to correct. They have a little extra time to do it before next Sunday against Tampa, the first road game of the season. I think Eagle fans will be taking over that stadium, I'm pretty sure. Raymond James Stadium. There'll be a lot of green. I know there's a lot of Eagle fans in Florida, and Eagle fans travel. We know how to travel. So they're going to be taking over that. Get ready, Tampa. They're taking over that stadium in a week from Sunday. And then, of course, they return back home the following week against the Colts for another opponent at home to see just how tough it is to win in this stadium. Get ready, Luck. So listen, like I always say, a win's a win. You take it any way you get it. And it was ugly, but it was a win. And the defending champs proved their mettle again last night against a good team in the NFC, the Atlanta Falcons. Maybe they see them again this season, but if they do see them again, and remember, Atlanta, you know who gets the tiebreaker. And you know where you're going to have to go again. Eagles win. They're 1-0 in the season. We get a little extra break now until a week from Sunday. They'll take on the Bucs. I'll have another video coming up probably next week as we get ready for Tampa. And hope to go to 2-0 in Tampa that week. And look, every game's important. And like I said before, and I will continue to say this, we're going to get every team's A game because when you're defending champs, that's what you get. So Tampa, you're going to get their A game. The Colts, you're going to get their A game. The Titans, it doesn't matter if it's a team like Atlanta or Minnesota, who you beat in the playoffs last season, or if it's a team like Tampa or Indianapolis, you're going to get their A game, and you have to be ready for it every week. But you know what? This team has that mental makeup. They're ready. Like I said, they had every excuse in the world not to win that game last night, and they did. They found a way. And at the end of the day, this team finds ways to get it done. That's a testament to the players. It's a testament to the coaching staff. And Doug, great call there with that trick play yet again. Doug doing it. Dougie Dangerous does it again. Great job, Birds. Winning on banner night, giving the home fans another win, and a great job by those fans that were there. They made tons of noise. They were heard. The Falcons heard them, and they helped to get that big win in Philly last night on banner night, opening the season the right way, like the Patriots couldn't do last season. We did it. There you go, New England. We got you again. All right, everyone. I know I've gone on long like I always do, but hey, a lot to talk about. It was one of those crazy nights in South Philly last night, and of course here in the man cave watching on the big screen, and just, one of those games, but become a veteran at it now, so, kind of used to it. All right, everyone. Let's go, Birds, as always. I'll see you all next week in the next episode of Season of the Fan. We're going to get ready for Week 2 at Tampa, first road game of the season, and let's keep this winning thing going. It's been pretty nice. All right, everyone. Take care. Go Birds, and thanks for watching. And as always, Eagles Nation and football fans all over the world.